Luke Kuechly deciding to retire out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, via a social media video at the age of 28. This guy made 7 Pro Bowls out of 8 seasons that he played in the NFL. I think he has a run of all pros as well. He's a guy that I got to meet at the Pro Bowl that was so interesting to me because he's like Clark Kent. That's the guy.
Yeah.
He's like Clark Kent. You see him off the field. He has glasses on. He's very quiet. Shakes your hand. Hi, how's it going? Very nice to meet you. I'm like, Luke, nice to meet you as well. Went to Boston College. Obviously has an incredibly big brain. And then when he gets on the field, he flips a switch and becomes an absolute maniac, calling out the other team's play before they can even call it. Going sideline to sideline. Freak athlete. The ability to will his team to victories once again and after again. I mean, he was just a lightning rod on the football field. A second coming of Urlacher and all these other linebackers that you learned to love growing up in football. Luke Kuechly was just a very, very special football player. Now, at the age of 28, he has decided to retire young. He's made $50+ million already. Well, congrats to Uncle Sam making $23 million out of that. So he has over $25 million in the bank account that he has, I assume, saved and done proper things with because he's a business marketing degree from Boston College, which is not an easy school. And while I was watching and listening to his retirement video that he put out there, which I'm assuming, by the way, after we've gotten to know Luke Kuechly a little bit, we did some stuff with him at the Super Bowl, met him at the Pro Bowl. I think he was in that room probably alone with that camera, by the way. He's not a guy who's comfortable or loves speaking in front of a camera. He's not a guy that loves a lot of attention. He just loves the football, and I think he loves his teammates. So whenever he started speaking and he was talking about how he wanted to retire, I think the part that really got to me was about a minute 30 into this speech, he starts talking about how he still wants to play, but he doesn't feel as if he is fast enough, physical enough, or whatever to keep up with the guys that are already in the linebacker locker room next to him. And that was like heartbreaking to me to see this guy who is this Greek god on a football field, this man who is this super alpha. He almost started breaking down, and it's like he had a moment where he realized that he just didn't have it like he used to have it. Now, granted, he just made another Pro Bowl. This is a guy who I would assume Matt Rule was banking on being a leader and a stallion in the locker room for him going forward. But in Luke Kuechly's eyes, he didn't think he had it like he once had it. And this can be a tough conversation with yourself. A lot of people don't have it. That's why you see a lot of people hang on until the very end. Try to collect as much cash as you possibly can. When I retired, there's people in the media telling me that I didn't have any friends because my friends weren't gluing my jersey on me so I can continue to collect cash until my legs fall off, basically, is what people said. That mindset has been one around for a long time because the NFL is a dream job for a lot of humans. Those who don't make it to the NFL and always dreamed of being NFL players assume that you should want to stay in the NFL forever. But what people need to know is to be in the NFL is a privilege, not a right. For me, I no longer wanted to focus entirely on kicking a football. I wanted to focus on other things, and I think the Shield deserves people that want to focus entirely on being a professional athlete. I didn't want to focus day to day on what would make me a better ball kicker. I wanted to utilize my brain and my time and my efforts to do other things. Now, granted, I was staring down a 3rd surgery in 4 years. I didn't exactly love going to work anymore due to the general manager that was there for the years before I was there. But ultimately, at the end, I didn't want to do and sacrifice my time in life to make sure that I would still be good at my job. When I was listening to Luke Kuechly speak in that video, it sounded like to me it was a guy that was obviously didn't love the thought that he didn't have it anymore, but also it sounded like a guy who was potentially excited to turn his efforts elsewhere. Well, hello there. Utilize the promo code PAYTHEBILLS and get $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Now, back to the magic. It sounded like a guy who didn't want to have to commit his entire life to being great again, because as you get older, and this is what's so impressive about Tom Brady, this is what's so impressive about Adam Vinatieri, this is what's so impressive about the people, Aaron Rodgers, that get older and older, and Drew Brees, and can stay at that high level, is the amount of commitment that you have to maintain to not only stay physically sharp, mentally sharp, but that competitive edge that has to keep you waking up every morning wanting to get better is something that not everybody can maintain and keep having. I'm very thankful for Luke Kuechly for what he did on a football field, and what he did for the NFL was great things. I was very excited to watch him play every time he got on there. And I'm also very happy and thankful for him if he has found complete peace. in there, he said he still wanted to play. So there will always be that lure of, will Luke Kuechly come back? Will he miss the banging from training camp or the camaraderie with the guys, which I would assume is potentially going to happen. A lot of people are going to talk about that, just like Gronk alluded to when Gronk tweeted, so when are you coming back? Because as soon as Gronk retired, he had an emotional press conference about how beat up his body was and how happy he was to go forward. And all anybody kept saying was, oh, Gronk's coming back, Gronk's coming back, Gronk's coming back. Well, maybe just like me, maybe just like Gronk, maybe Luke Kuechly got to the point where he started thinking, you know what? I want to enjoy my life outside of football and focus on other things other than hitting people and dissecting offenses. And if that's the case, I'm incredibly happy for Luke Kuechly, and I hope he enjoys the hell out of his retirement.
Yeah, when I was watching, I thought he was going to pull a Wolf of Wall Street, like halfway through and be like, you know what? I'm not leaving.
It seemed like a minute 30 in, it seemed like there was quite a turn.
Yeah.
For the first minute, he was very calm, cool, collected. And then I think it was like a minute 30 in, he goes, I still want to play.
Yeah.
And it was like almost like that moment. And I even got emotional. I retired on Comedy Central to join Barstool, and it was Super Bowl week. But I typed up something from my Twitter, which is where basically any person that really, knew anything about me was through my Twitter. And while I was typing it up, I got emotional in the middle of it because the game of football is such an awesome one. Mm-hmm. Like Luke Kuechly said, I still want to be involved in football. You got a lot of people that even though they choose to retire early, doesn't mean they don't love football. It just means they want to spend their time potentially doing something else. And I would assume that Luke Kuechly will still remain around football. A guy that smart, we hope his brain is still utilized in the football world. He missed 7 games, I think, with 3 diagnosed concussions or something like that. You have to think that probably was a part of the conversation. But I'm happy for Luke, hopefully finding solace. And it did feel like about halfway through that video that he was potentially just going to be like, yeah, turn the camera off.